I'll grow up tomorrow. At 33 years old, I'm probably well overdue for growing up. Overdue. This shouldn't even be a consideration. And given how I've lived my life and how fast I've grown up, measured through external things like having a job early, paying rent early, moving out on my own, having another mouth to feed, I probably don't look like I struggle with this. But internally, I still feel like a kid inside. I still feel like I'm a kid. Not taking as much space in a room as I can, being overly humble and dumbing myself down to make others feel safe, feel comfortable. Each one of these things can be a podcast of its own. I still feel like a kid. I crave the comfort of returning to when things didn't matter. Wanting to escape the responsibility of actual life. Finding pockets to sleep literally through parts of life in a way to avoid bearing witness to its reality. Almost as if I'm still waiting for a certain time when it all feels real, when it's all supposed to feel real. Looking at someone older than me, doing better than me, with admiration and wondering, what do they have that I'm missing? How do they show up so effortlessly to bear responsibility? At the same time, I'm feeling smaller than them and lesser than them. Really because of my own lack of acceptance of responsibility. The one that I recognize in them that they're so willing to take. Because of still feeling and knowing that there is a gap between me now and me in full form. But what is the root of that gap? Is it really age? Is it something else that I'm keeping blind? What am I waiting for, really? I'm always waiting for or feeling and waiting to feel like there's this place that I'm going to arrive before I can finally be the man I'm supposed to be. Feeling less than that man I'm supposed to be in my mind. Having a romanticized version of this man and how he would show up in certain situations, in facing challenges, in meeting opportunities. And when put in these situations, not matching the romanticism at all. Not matching up at all to the hero in that movie in my head. And I almost stunt myself early. I don't let the child me develop into the adult me because I scare it back into the box from this immediate judgment that I'm not matching the gap to that romanticized version. I'm not showing up like I thought I would. Just waiting to live. Just waiting to live till an undetermined date of feeling. Of feeling like I have arrived. Just waiting to finally grow up and match that image while passively sabotaging it at the same time, but not doing all that I can to build to that image. Failing to claim all the weight and the burden of this truly on my soul in a way to preserve some alley or some escape back to childish ways, the childlike innocence the weightlessness of childhood, clinging on to the fantasy that maybe I can escape back to it, holding back just a sliver of hope to keep from full immersion into the acceptance of adulthood, into the acceptance of responsibility, putting it off to an undetermined date in the future when maybe the heavens will bless upon me the realization of responsibility. Living by chance, justifying it by faith. For me to let go of this clinging, for me to accept my responsibility, I realize something inside me must die for that to happen. And there's a mourning in that. Letting my childish ways, my dreams, my fantasies of being able to return back to when things didn't matter. There is a grieving in finally growing up and accepting the bone and soul crushing realization that I can never return back to that light feeling of youth, that careless, gallivanting spirit with no plan. It's funny how being young and being undecided and being split focused was an advantage. In your youth, the vastness and possibility of your potential, it's attractive. But it becomes a liability as you age. It's not as cute heading into your mid-30s and your 40s. There must be acceptance of trade-offs, the death of many possibilities for the pursuit of one, the sacrificing of all you can be for being what you can be, pinning that down to one and scrapping the rest. So how do we act this out in real life? We coddle ourselves to maintain safety. We protect ourselves from potential hurts too much, from potential failures too much. We let ourselves off the hook faster than the last rep we know we can do, earlier than the last breath. We stop pushing and stop giving due to a perceived finish line or early satisfaction, way before real progress, material progress has been made. We preserve the ego and say, you never really tried. If I only really tried, justifying not giving 100% by holding back true commitment in a way to have an out. Because what if I really tried and I failed? Then what? Then who am I? I can't put that on the line. So let's just not try 100%, to have that one in the back pocket, to let my psyche have that one in the back pocket. We let ourselves get off the hook when things are difficult. Oh, it's okay. You can't do that thing right now? That's okay. You have so much going on. Oh, at least you're doing this. At least you haven't given up on that. In a way to just justify the lack of greater doing. In allowing ourselves to feel better for not doing what we know we should by compensating with satisfaction from a lesser goal. Not truly accepting that once you have seen that ultimate ideal in your mind, it will forever tower over the rest and demand for a stature to be bowed to. Once you have identified what a higher good there is for you to accomplish, the at least jump back out at you with, yeah, but. Because deep inside, with that recognition of the highest possible good, that you can manage, comes the daunting awareness when you are not reaching for it. You cannot blind yourself from it once it has been seen, not even in your sleep. All of that coddling won't help you at that point. There's a part of you that's grown up and a part of you that still wants to cling to comfort. And the grown up inside will label all deviations from aiming at your ultimate goal as an excuse. It will have simultaneous thoughts and be ruthless in its transparency and judgment with you as you attempt to mask your shortcomings with, at least. So, what are the consequences of my actions? My consequences of leaving it off until tomorrow to finally grow up. I'm failing to be responsible today. Distancing myself from the role I'm supposed to play, from the value I'm supposed to be, supposed to unlock, supposed to use. Keeping something undone, a burden not lifted, a weight not carried, a breath not eased. Not taking responsibility is depriving me of meaning that comes from all of these roles. And not having that meaning to sustain me through all the inevitable suffering of life compounds the dread and the despair. Failing to take responsibility, deafening my ability, my response ability for battles that will require that seasoned might in the future. The consequences leave my greatness unclaimed. No one is coming to hand me my greatness. No one will come and assign it to me and say, this looks like it belongs to you. It must be claimed, fought, and competed for. I have to earn my greatness. And I'm not moving at a speed that would be considered a competitive pace. My place in the world is waiting to be claimed by me. And ultimately, I'm cursing myself with more tomorrows that will have regretful yesterdays, emptier yesterdays, space left unoccupied yesterdays, leaving myself with a bunch of regret, all in an effort to cling to comfort, to preserve a fantasy, to try to escape to a delusion that I have to wake back up from, in putting off growing up until tomorrow. And growing up, some of the things I even mentioned, the horrors of growing up, there's bright sides too. Something I have to remind myself, especially. The child trigger in me that wants to preserve all of my options inside of me goes off instantly. And I have to remind myself that picking one thing, specializing in picking one thing in lieu of other things, it doesn't mean that you pick a door and that's the room you live in for the rest of your life. But more so, you make a choice, you open a door, and through the journey down a long hallway, you come across more doors into lives you couldn't even imagine. You couldn't imagine living had you not entered the first one. There's glory in adulting. There's a level of activation when you accept your adult responsibilities. It's like other parts of your genes come alive to help you solve the the next level problems you have graduated to. You are more alive each day. You now have a firmer grip on your value in the world. You accept the responsibility that comes with living to deliver that value. And if I can be kind to myself for a minute, I may have a distorted self-image. You may have a distorted self-image. Your own unforgiving view of yourself may not be how it seems from the outside. You may actually show up in the room and take up more space than you give yourself credit for today. My friend told me the other day, we always judge ourselves against an ideal. We fail to judge and credit ourselves where we were yesterday. We constantly judge ourselves. We just see the gap ahead to where we want to be. We fail to see how much progress we have actually made. So give yourselves more credit than you think you deserve. In all the sludge of your self-judgment and the push for better, you're burying the appreciation for the progress you made along the way. Be kinder to yourself. I'm trying to be kinder to myself. I love you all. I love you always. I challenge you to grow up today, to start living today, to carry that weight today, to find something that you can manage to do and leave less of it undone for tomorrow, to accept full responsibility for what you know you can be and not put it off, to be that. Don't put that off for another day. And tomorrow, that hero you imagine may just look back at you in the mirror. See you guys in the next one.